Hello, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you. I will be going through a lot of slides very quickly, and you will see my presentation like my life is all over the place. But I wanted to capture the diversity of what has resulted in being who I am and my journey. So I was born a long, long time ago in a country far, far away in Mashhad, Iran. I grew up in a middle class, nothing special family. For me, it was special, but compared to everyone else around me, no background in science, but a loving family. My parents got divorced when I was about 6 years old. That was the big change in my life, and it became the theme of my life. When I was about 11, 12 years old, revolution happened. Up to that time, I had no idea about violence, gunshot, demonstration. I had no idea what they were. And all of a sudden, it was at my doorstep. Before I could even get used to that, there was a war between Iran and Iraq, and anti-aircraft missiles, and sirens, and running to shelters, and all sorts of things that many of you are familiar with if you're from the region. So for you, it's like, yeah, of course. But for many others, they don't understand. But this is everyday life, and you just learn that it becomes normal, and you live through it. But I had a special place. I had fallen in love with the night skies. So whenever things around me seemed to be crazy, seemed to stress me out, seemed to be impossible to deal with, I would close my eyes and I would go to this imaginary place. I would go amongst the stars where I would imagine this place, these worlds where it was peaceful. I could go there with my family, with my friends, build worlds and places and cities where everything was just perfect. And that was the power of the imagination of me as a child. And as human beings, we have this really powerful gift, this thing that we use as children, this power of imagination that allows us to create things, to invent things, to build things that do not exist. But when we become older, we become very practical and we use it less and less. And it's a shame because it's really important. For me, it was becoming an astronaut, going to space. I even drew it. I went around. I showed it to everyone. This was my rocket ship. It was going to take me to space. You can imagine when I was showing it to everyone, no one believed I could ever make it happen. They looked at me, they patted me on the head, nice girl, of course you're gonna be an astronaut. And I don't think a single person believed that it would ever happen. So I like to prove people wrong. So I did go to space in 2006. This is my rocket, and you can see. It's very similar, no? So I definitely can tell you what's going to happen in the future, as you can see. But it is power of imagination. I think you have to see it before you can create it, and it's important. So growing up, I watched Star Trek. I was a big Trek fan, and I watched it dubbed in Farsi. And I wanted to become the science officer on board Starship Enterprise. I wanted to go explore the galaxies and meet new species and new civilizations. And it was my dream, but coming to US and not having any money, like many practical parents, I got the advice to study something so you can get a job. In Middle East, you can either be a doctor, engineer, or lawyer. So I hated law. I couldn't stand blood, so I became an engineer. And that was a good choice, actually. It led me to be able to make my dream come true. And as an engineer, I became a successful entrepreneur, met my husband. We started our own companies. And for many years, that's what I did. I was in data and telecom and internet, and then Internet of Things. But I had this passion inside that was still burning. I never let it go out. I never forgot about it. I had all these reminders around me that would bring me back to this thing that I wanted to do that would make me complete. So when we sold our second company, I took some time off and I went back to school, studied astronomy this time. And then my life took a different turn when I started taking that first step. A gentleman named Peter Diamandis, you may have heard of him. He has a best-selling book, Bold, and now he just published his third book in the era of exponential technology. He had launched a prize because he was a big space fan and wanted to go to space, $10 million for anyone who can build a spaceship to go to space without money from the government. People building spaceship in their garages. And he thought it's easy to raise the money. Of course, this is about 24 years ago. Everyone, as you can imagine, thought he's crazy. And no one supported him. He read about me in one of my interviews and my passion and came to visit us and told us about the idea of a prize. And of course, as an entrepreneur, we thought about, this is de-risking R&D. So if you wanted to build something, you usually go hire a bunch of people, tell them what you want, you pay them a lot of money, you wait several years, and then you may or may not end up with what you want. This way, you tell them what you want. Once they finish building it and they show you it works, then you pay them. That's a pretty good way of doing R&D. So we became the sponsors, and the prize was launched, very successful. We're a nonprofit, so it's the only nonprofit that I know that it actually leverages your philanthropic dollar, where our $10 million prize brought in $100 million in investment. 26 teams from 7 countries competed, and it was won by a team funded by Paul Allen. He invested $30 million to win the prize. And the design was then financed by Richard Branson, made into a commercial company, Virgin Galactic. They just went public last year. So the model works. All of the work we did over 10 years, the prize was running, brought in a lot of policy changes that made companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin to be able to actually exist, because before this prize, there was no agency that would regulate any private companies to actually launch to space. So a lot of the changes really created a new marketplace, which is what we wanted to do. We wanted to democratize access to space, and this happened. So once we saw this worked, we figured out, well, if we could solve access to space, what other problems can we solve? And of course, there were tons of big challenges in the world that we could attack, and we started looking at them. So this is, in a nutshell, what we do at XPrize.
The XPrize Foundation runs incredible large-scale competitions around the world that set very clear, measurable, objective goals. The first person to build, demonstrate this capability wins the prize money, and the world gets the benefits.
Competitions and prizes can actually bring innovation to solve not just any problem, but really big, challenging problems.
I think we're about setting a high bar, and you want to set a goal for people that's inspiring, but it's also hard.
When we're designing an XPrize, we're looking for something that is audacious and achievable.
Goals that are far beyond where the industry is.
Problems that the markets have failed to solve.
To help people really now dig into their imagination, creativity is everywhere.
We are leveraging the genius of folks from all over the world.
The tinkers, the entrepreneurs, the engineers.
People who are not satisfied with the way things are and know that it can be better.
It's all around hopefulness. It's all about collaboration.
The long tail effect of a prize has probably as much value as the prize itself.
At every single level. I've seen things go from a paper plane to an actual spaceship.
We've seen a private spaceflight revolution.
$300 million invested into the lunar economy. Over 10 million kids integrated in STEM education work.
Technology that increased the rate of cleaning up oil spills.
Technology to help keep people safe.
To make sure everyone is healthy.
Feeding people, educating people, cleaning the air, exploring the oceans or space. We're changing what people believe is possible.
We want to have an ideal future, and it's up to us to build that.
We don't care who you are or where you come from. If you're able to accomplish this task, you win, and that's it.
And it is truly that simple. We believe that ingenuity, creativity is all around us, everywhere in the world. And our competition is designed to really bring the crowd and that innovation to solve these big challenges. We've launched $150 million worth of prizes successfully. We engage people from over 100 countries, and it's growing. We have about 300 million worth of prizes that we're launching. A lot of them are actually in the area of environment, because that's one of the biggest, most pressing issues that we face. You know, I hope that many of you here would be now inspired to go look at our website and learn more. Very quickly, these are our 2 active prizes. I'm not going to talk about them a lot, but they're a lot about AI, and you will see a theme around AI and artificial intelligence and machine learning in solving a lot of our problems. We have an ANA Avatar XPrize, which is combining robotics, AI, and AR, VR, sensing, haptics, all coming together and integrating it into a unit that can transform and transport your senses to a remote location. These are some of the new prizes we're launching, solving the issue of extracting carbon at a gigaton level from the atmosphere, solving the issue of feeding in a sustainable way the growing population of Earth. We've just announced our rainforest prize, and we're asking for teams to register. So go to our website and look at the prizes that we have and register. We also have an AI for Good Summit that we're in the 4th year of it. It's all about how can we use AI in ethical and safe manner toward solving the SDGs. We only have 10 years left. These are lofty goals. The chances of solving this without really doing audacious grand challenges is very, very slim. And it's important to use all the technologies at our fingertip, including AI, in a safe and secure manner to solve them. Because of the use of a lot of these technologies, we see the boundaries between physical and digital really disappearing. You can see how we are taking technology into our homes. And before we had tools where we would just really drive the tools and control the tools. Now we have tools that are smart, and they're sort of driving us, controlling our behavior with AI. You can say that our phones almost are an extension of our body. We feel like lost without them. And some of those things are now being embedded, implanted in our bodies. We have an aging population. Around the world by 2050, 1 out of every 6 person will be over the age of 65. If you look at Europe and North America, 1 out of 4 will be over the age of 65. These are challenges, but also every big challenge is a big opportunity if we can solve them. AI and robotics will help us with people who've lost, you know, maybe capabilities that they had before or never had when they were born, and it can help them regain that. This was a recent accomplishment with an artificial AI retina that is allowing people who couldn't see now see again. Of course, a lot of these technologies can be used for other means. DARPA announced N3, which is using AI and machine brain interface to actually use this in cyborg soldiers. In China, where the regulation is a lot lighter, they're also using CRISPR technology, of course, to solve health issues and be able to edit our genome to solve health issues and problems that we face, but also they're using it to design children as they're born. Is that a bad thing? Maybe not. Who knows? But these are a lot of very tough questions that we will have to answer, and we have to answer them now. These are not things that will happen 20, 30, 50 years from now. They're happening now. And that's something that I feel most people don't understand, how fast these things are coming. And the people around the table answering these questions are not diverse enough. It's a very small group that is not a representative of the entire human race. What if those technologies used to actually add capabilities that we've never meant to have as human beings? Of course, because I'm a space fan, I love to always talk about the uses of AI in space. We work with FDL, and there's a lot of data that has been sitting there collected by all these amazing satellites and telescopes that we didn't have capacity to analyze them. But with AI and machine learning now, we can analyze them at much rapid rate and find new Earth-like planets. We have, I think my time is up. I think that's what happened. Is that so? So I guess my time is up. Sorry. I only have 3-4 more slides. Yes, I'll go fast, I promise. We have an AI assistant on board the space station now. If you remember HAL on Space Odyssey, this is the good version of HAL on space station now, and astronauts are using it. We have now broken the barrier of brain-machine interface, but now we're breaking the barrier of brain-to-brain interface, combine it with machine, and combine it all together so we have a collective consciousness. Now, if you've, again, Star Trek fans, Borgs, collective consciousness, it's happening. So do we want to live like Borgs? Do you want to have the collective knowledge of people out there? Do you want to be able to play the piano like the best piano player and understand quantum physics like the best quantum physicist? But would we be happy making decisions as a collective unit? These are all questions. I don't have the answers, but these are questions that we need to all answer together, not leave the answer to others. We've just grown a brain. We've been able to we've been growing human organs already for a long while and actually transplanting them. But now we've grown a brain. The question of, is that brain alive? Does it have consciousness? What do we do with it? Can we kill it if it's alive? So those lines are being blurred every day. So the reason I'm talking about this is I want to make sure you guys start reading about it, getting involved with it, create solutions for it, be engaged in it, and use it for good. Use it towards solving good problems. Ask those hard questions. That is the most important thing we can do as entrepreneurs, as human beings. And I'll just show you a short
climate change,
deadly earthquake,
a suicide bomber,
terrorism,
nuclear device in the heart of the nation's capital.
It's no wonder that we're pessimistic. It's no wonder that people think that the world is getting worse. But perhaps that's not the case.
Perhaps we forget that we've only just begun.
Doing what's never been done before is intellectually seductive, whether or not we deem it practical.
What we're seeing is unfathomably new possibilities all of a sudden becoming available to us.
The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave.
You have to trust in something. Your gut, destiny, life, karma, whatever.
We truly are living in an extraordinary time. And many people forget this.
So now technically your device is on. Can you tell? Can you hear me?
The yearning to do what we do in the service of something larger than ourselves.
Where did we come from? Are we alone in the universe? What is the future of the human race?
When you conduct those exercises, innovation follows just as day follows night.
We can do this. I know we can because we've done it before.
Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Thank you for listening to me. great day.